Yo, 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 I know it's been a minute since I posted a video, but I've just been busy pretty much assembling this engine, and it's almost at the point where it's ready to get dropped in. So I ran into one issue though, where my intake air temperature sensor broke. It's supposed to have two blades. When I was pulling the engine out, and so I was looking online and stuff, and I saw that this happens pretty often, where this sensor breaks when you're pulling the engine out, probably because the engine hook is like right here, and I don't know, maybe the chain gets bumped in. So it's supposed to go right here, right? Maybe the chains get bumped, or this gets bumped to the chassis. And this sensor right here, they're actually out of stock everywhere. Like, it's discontinued already, and I tried to find an alternative part, but there is no alternative part for the S5, which is a 1989 through 1991 Rx7 FC. I'm gonna show you guys how to repair this thing. So luckily I actually had two manifolds, and one from the blown engine that I pulled, and then one that one that came with the blown engine that I pulled, and then one that came on the engine that I repaired, but they were both broken. So I actually repaired one of them already. Look, this is how it ends up looking. Pretty much like new. So you see, GoPro kind of sucks at zooming in, but it pretty much looks new. So yeah, the parts that I ended up using is some male spades, which are 0.187 inch tab, and some plastic JB Weld plastic bonder to be able to put it on the edges right here. So I'll just go ahead and show you guys how I repaired this. So first, you see how the spade on one end is like broken? There's actually no access to the copper of that broken spade. So what I did is I put it on the vise. Can you guys see it? Probably barely. And then I got a file to file down. You want down the plastic to expose some of the copper. So I'll show you guys. While I do all this, I'm gonna let my soldering iron warm up. You do have to solder the other spade down, so I'm gonna let that warm up while I go ahead and file this to expose the copper. Go slow so you don't cut through the actual copper material. You only want to cut through the insulation. Once you get pretty close, once you start seeing that the copper is exposing, you can grab a blade so you don't shave down the actual copper, and then just cut the material. Okay, and you see? Now you have the exposed copper right there. I'll zoom in. So now that exposed copper is right there, I get my spade. The spade comes with insulation. So what I do is I break the spade off like this. And now I have that spade that I need. And now I'm gonna solder that down here, boom. So now I grab the spade like a little scoop and I get some flux. This is to help it, to help the solder flow. And I just put it right there. Just gotta let my soldering iron warm up. Alright, once your soldering iron is warmed up, I actually put some solder on the tip here. I let it melt on there, and then I get some solder and melt it right here. And then there should be a blob of solder. I don't know if the camera catches it, but see how there's a blob of solder there? So that's what you want. To then grab the spade, put some flux on it so the solder flows. Don't grab it with your hands because you'll burn yourself. But then just kind of line it up a bit. You don't want to spend too much time heating this up because then it's possible you could damage the actual sensor. So line it up as good as you can. Put some solder on there so it makes it easier. And then there it is, it's soldered on. So now actually this other one that I fixed was better. I didn't end up having a fat blob like that. So what I'm gonna actually do is instead of resoldering, I'm just gonna file some of that blob, some of that solder down. And then I'm just cleaning it with some alcohol. Alright, and I think that's probably the hardest part of it. The next thing is to bond some plastic around the connector. Like, since you know that I exposed it here, we want to be able to... Let me actually shave that down a little more. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. And it's just some alcohol. And actually what I do to make sure that I didn't break the sensor from overheating it, I make sure it reads some resistance. And it's about 26 kilo ohms. So that's about right for the temperature that it is outside right now. So yeah, now the next thing is I get some of this JB Weld plastic bonder. You don't need that much. You don't need a lot for this stuff. Just mix it up. And then just put a dab on the exposed where there would have been plastic. It's just to give it a little bit of mechanical strength, and then Also, so it doesn't it doesn't short into something. And I would just let that cure and just put it here. So yeah, fellas, once that is cured, it ends up coming out like this. And then you just go ahead and put it back on. And then connect it. Boop. I don't want to connect it right now because there's still some other things that I want to fix on this engine, like the ground. This ground right here I need to hook up still. So, but yeah, hope this helps some of you. I know that part is no longer in stock anywhere and it's discontinued, so I'm sure this will help someone and that's trying to save money and that's trying to get this done quick, so you don't have to purchase one or go looking for one. Although maybe you can't do this because you might not have a soldering iron. I just happen to have this JB Weld. I don't remember how much it was, probably like 10 bucks. These were like 5 bucks, the spades. So I guess it just depends on the type of tools you have to be able to get this done. Luckily I already had solder and I had flux and soldering iron. This is to clean the tip of this, which you don't necessarily need for this, but on the next video, if I decide I want to film something, I'll probably end up slapping the motor in, but I don't know if I want to film that. This thing is looking pretty good. It's looking way much simpler than what it used to. I put a lot of delete plates and plugged a bunch of vacuums. This is all the extra stuff that is no longer gonna be in the motor. Whole bunch of stuff. It's so much more simpler now. I mean, it still looks complex, but it's way simpler than what it used to be for sure. Alright boys, hope this helps someone. Peace. Alright, yeah, yesterday I put this engine back in, and you know how I was talking about that sensor, the intake air temp sensor? Well, when I was pushing it in to get the transmission to mate up with the engine, that sensor ended up breaking again because I like nudged it pretty hard. So that just goes to show you guys that that sensor is prone to breaking pretty easily. So if you guys are putting your engine on or pulling it out, I would recommend taking that sensor out. It's just a 12 millimeter wrench that fits on it and it comes out pretty easily. So it's right here. I would just take it out. So that doesn't happen to you guys what happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to a bunch of people already. Luckily I have that other one that I had repaired also from that spare motor that I had, so I'm just gonna swap them out. But yeah, good luck fellas. Peace.